Hi everyone, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and I have some layered stencil cuteness to share with you today. This adorable new stencil is called Layered Bunny Faces, and it's from A Colorful Life Designs. It is part of the March release, and it is adorbs. So here are a couple photos of the finished card. I did also use the brand new stamp set, which is also new to the release and only the third ever stamp set in the shop. So be sure to check out the rest of the release. There are loads of amazing products this month, so you don't want to miss it. So what I'm doing here, you may wonder, I have my infinity dies from Hero Arts, and I'm finding one that will basically cover the size of one of the bunnies. I'm basically creating a masking window. So I want to be able to go through and just move this little opening on the cardstock over my stencil, and then I can essentially just do one bunny at a time, because I know I want to do a couple different colors. As you saw in the photos, I did use brown and gray. I probably didn't have to be this serious with just the one little opening, but this is a fun option if you want to do like a different color for every bunny and not have any overlapping, ink blending. So I'm just basically, I ended up using the tape. Usually, you could use pixie spray to hold it. The reason I did that is because I knew I was going to be shifting the masking cardstock with the hole in it. I knew I was going to be shifting that around, and I didn't want to accidentally be bumping my stencil around and moving that around on the cardstock and screwing up the design. So that's the reason I did that. Otherwise, normally my magnets would be just fine, but since I was going to be shifting things all around, that I had to take the magnets off for, is why I opted to tape on the back of the stencil to make sure that that cardstock stayed in place. You could also absolutely do pixie spray as well, just to kind of keep the two pieces together if you wanted to try this masking technique. But basically, I'm kind of going heavier handed in spots and lighter handed as I move over the face of the bunny. And I am just using two distress ink colors. The reason I'm using distress ink colors instead of my normal Catherine Pooler is because I don't actually have the neutrals for Catherine Pooler. I usually just default to my distress inks because those are also dye inks. So I'm just using my same blending brushes that I use for my Catherine Pooler inks, and I'm working my way through kind of with a little bit of a zigzaggy pattern as I go through this card panel. So I have a, pretty equal number, maybe a little bit more of the gray, but I just think it's a cute little mix to have these neutrals. Now, I don't really have a plan in mind. I'm not entirely sure which direction I'm going to go, so you're kind of watching me figure it out as I create. But I am lining up the second layer with the little bunny faces, and then I am going to come in with my black soot, which is the ink that I use for black ink blending, and I'm getting a little crazy here. So when I started moving, I don't know, I think I moved one of my magnets off or something, and I was coming at it like a lumberjack, like I do, and look what I did. I messed up his little face. My little bunny face is a little blurred and crazy, but we're going to stick with it. We're going to keep going. It's just paper, and I do find ways to kind of fix it a little bit, which I'll show you in a little bit. So if you just don't go too crazy like me, and calm down a little bit when you're ink blending, then you won't shift your little bunny's face all around and make it look deformed. Okay, so don't be like me. Don't be swinging your arms around like a lumberjack, and then you'll be fine. But anyway, so I grabbed this new stamp set from the shop. It's got tons of really cool sentiments that you can mix and match, so it's really fun. But I decided to just grab the one that says Easter. So I decided at this moment we're going to make it an Easter card. So I grabbed, again, just kind of a random gray. This is like a Nouveau hybrid. It's the only ink I have of that brand, so I can't even really tell you much about it, but it's always on my desk, and it's a nice medium gray. So I'm just stamping. Oh, no, it's not an Easter card. It's a spring card. See, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Just don't even listen to me, okay? Oh my goodness. Anyway, so we're making it a spring card, evidently, and I'm putting spring all around in between the bunnies. And then I decided it needed a little bit of color. So I'm going to grab one of the cute little flowers from the stamp set, and then the saltwater taffy distress oxide color. And I'm going to stamp the little flower in some of the little white space openings. So I'm just freehand stamping here with an acrylic block. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, you could do this with a MISTI, but I could see this being quite time consuming trying to move this little stamp around in a MISTI. So just have faith in yourself. You can do it. Distress oxides stamp beautifully, as you can see. So I'm just stamping in some of the openings here, and then I decide to put some little pink cheeks on some of these little bunnies. So I grab my water brush pen, and I'm just gonna kind of smoosh some of this distress oxide down onto this acrylic block. I'm trying not to do too much water because I don't want to like activate the ink from the distress inks either, but I want to put some little pink cheeks on some of them because it's just cute. So I'm going to do it on the Mr. Smudgy face up here, and then I put too much water, so then I had to kind of dab that off. So that poor bunny, it wasn't his day. It really was not his day. But I'm trying to remember what else I did. I feel like, I think I darkened the eyes. So that was how I fixed his face a little bit. I grabbed a marker and darkened his eyes and his nose, just to kind of offset the blurring around it. So that did kind of help a little bit. And then I did stamp a little sentiment on the inside, and I decided to round the corners with my corner chomper, just on the opposing corners. And then on the inside, this is where I decided that little sentiment was too simple on its own. It needed another little bunny face. So I had this little panel of partially ink blended bunny faces, and I decided to just fussy cut one out and slap it on the inside of the card. So it was a fun and easy way to kind of incorporate the design into the inside of the card. You could do this also on, a different design and pop it up on the front of the card. You could do, maybe just pop up a few of them and give some dimension on the front of the card. But in this case, I just kept it simple, added a little bit of liquid glue, and put it on the inside of the card next to "It's Time to Bloom." So on the front, it says spring, 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 spring all over the place. And then on the inside, it says "It's Time to Bloom." So a fun spring-inspired bunny card. Don't mind the one with the little messed up face on the top. We won't look at him, okay? Just look at all the other ones. Imperfection is beauty, right? Yes. Anyway, thank you so much for spending time with me today and dealing with all my shenanigans. So I appreciate you, and I will catch you next time. Bye.